Alright guys, here we are. I've seen this video before, but I want to do a reaction because I thought it was hilarious. So here we go.
Free speech is meaningless unless you allow people you don't like to say things you don't like.
Agreed. Pretty basic, straightforward statement. It's about the clearest thing you can say that's true. If you're controlling what other people can say or canceling people because of what they say and do, then how is it free speech, right? You got to just say you're anti-free speech at that point. Say it with your chest. If you're anti-free speech, then you're anti-free speech. It is what it is, you know? But let's not pretend you're something that you're not.
Otherwise, it's irrelevant. And if at the point at which you lose free speech, it doesn't come back.
I think the issue some people have is that a lot of people were brought back. I mean, some people were brought back who were previously banned for spreading things like QAnon conspiracies. You have people like Andrew Tate who were brought back, who were previously banned for things like hate speech. Do you think you prioritize freedom of speech over misinformation and hate speech?
What a ridiculous question. He didn't even phrase that properly. Do you prioritize freedom of speech over hate speech and misinformation? Of course, free speech is more important than hate speech and misinformation. What he's saying is, do you prioritize freedom of speech over disallowing or controlling hate speech and misinformation? The answer to me is a clear yes, obviously. Some things are going to come off as hateful to some people. Some things are going to come off as hateful to other people. You can't police that. It's speech. It's materially not harmful. It's unimpactful materially at the end of the day. And misinformation, who's to say that you, buddy, are the source on misinformation? QAnon conspiracies, any conspiracy, right? If you're silencing conspiracies, then the government and you know, whoever it is, any major institution with power can just do whatever they want in a shady way, and they're gonna be like, haha, nobody's gonna believe you anyway, buddy, to the victims. You know what I mean? Conspiracies are important. They get people thinking. You know what I mean? What's possible? Maybe. Who knows? Some things are, you know, we don't. Not everything may not be as it seems, I should say. So I mean, I look. I'm not saying that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I'm saying that this is just a ridiculous line of questioning, and he sucks at being ridiculous. Like, he's not even good at that.
Well, you know, who's to say that something is misinformation?
Facts. One of the smartest guys on the planet. I respect him a lot, not because of his wealth or anything like that, but just because of his mission. I mean, look, SpaceX, this guy is a freaking genius, right? And he's trying to push humanity forward. Does he potentially buy political campaigns? Probably. I think every rich guy does that. I don't love that about him, but I think he's an extremely intelligent person. And this is hilarious.
Who is the arbiter of that? Is it the BBC?
You're literally asking me?
Yes.
Well, no, you are the arbiter on Twitter, because you own Twitter.
Yes, I'm saying, who is to say that one person's misinformation is another person's information? At the point at which you said that there is, this is misinformation, like, who is going to decide that?
You accept that misinformation can be dangerous, that it can cause real-world harms, that it can potentially cause...
Yes, and the point I'm trying to make is that the BBC itself has, at times, published things that are false.
Misinformation, this guy's missing the point because he's so small-brained. Smooth-brained people piss me off. Misinformation is, of course, harmful, can be used for harm. But what you deem to be misinformation seems to be just stuff that's not corroborated. That doesn't mean it's misinformation. You can't disprove the existence of something. I've always said that. I mean, I've said that for a long time, at least. I was taught that by, a wise man once. You can't disprove the existence of something. You can't say something unequivocally does not exist. Just because we've never seen it, we have no evidence for it existing, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So for you to come out and say that these conspiracies are misinformation, I mean, it's just ridiculous, bro. You don't know that, and you can't control for misinformation.
Do you agree that has occurred?
I'm quite sure the BBC have said things before that turn out to not be true.
Correct.
In its, whatever it is, 100-year history, I'm quite sure.
Yes. Even if you aspire to be accurate, there are times when you will not be.
We've spoken to people very recently who are involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company. Is that
What
something
hate
that you want
speech
to
are you talking
address?
about? I mean, you use Twitter.
Right.
Do you see?
I don't think this guy's a bad guy. I think he's just slow, honestly. And I don't mean to be mean or rude. I just think some people have this like overly idealistic worldview and this sense of moral high ground, which leads them to do shit like this and have these stances where like it's like we need to control for certain things. We need to. Who are you to control for anything, bud? Bro, just let the world be free and whatever happens happens. You know what I mean? Like if people talk and people say things people don't like, it is what it is. We have laws. We have materially impactful things that are being done, actions, and you know that kind of stuff. We have controls for that to make sure that things aren't enacted into policy, things aren't like impacting someone in a discriminatory way. Some guy tweeting something, a slur or something like that is not something that needs to be watched over like this.
The rise in hate speech?
I mean,
But just a personal anecdote. Like, what do you do? I don't.
personally, for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content. Yeah, personally, but I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
You
But
see more
personally,
hate speech personally.
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
Well,
saying.
I'm just curious. I'm trying to sound.
It's funny because this is a guy who sometimes on the left, man, it feels like a popularity contest. Like this guy doesn't really know what he wants. He just wants to make people happy. And this guy is trying to get to the core and understand what is it that you're upset about.
You mean by hateful content? And I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples.
Right.
Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
You
don't.
can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why. Because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore. Because I just don't particularly like it.
But you
And
said
actually,
you-
a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a second.
following.
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
Good question.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And
Well, then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet, and yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's false.
no. What I claimed.
You just lied.
What I claimed was there are many organizations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my
Give me
feed
one
or
example.
not. I mean, right, and
Literally
if you
can't
look at
name
something
one.
like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK, they will say that. So
Look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a
Right.
single example, and you can't name one.
right, and as I already said,
Yeah. People will say all sorts of nonsense. He's alleging something, and he's unable to corroborate that with one instance of what he's alleging. He can't even, not only can he not prove it, he can't even say what it is. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
don't use that feed. But
Then how would you know?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced.
Deflection. Like, he doesn't want to stay on topic. How can people be this stupid? It's unbelievable to me. I've never done this in my entire life. Change the subject? Why would you say something so dumb that you feel the need to change the subject after? Like, how? How are people this dumb? It boggles my mind.
More hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know this hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Famous last words of an idiot.
Well, COVID misinformation. You
Amazing.
You changed the COVID misinformation
Has
rules.
BBC changed its COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
I'm literally asking you about, you changed the labels, the COVID misinformation labels. There used to be a policy, it then disappeared. Why do that?
Well, COVID is no longer an issue. Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations? And not reporting on that at all? And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government?
Right. Great questions. And the reason this line of questioning is important is because the BBC is paid and bought, whatever. Everything the BBC reports, bro, is paid for by oligarchs that run our world and run the Western world in general. Everything these major media outlets do and say is paid and bought and paid for. So that's a great question because they were rushed into releasing certain information, as was the entire institutional system globally, about the COVID vaccines. And, about, the safety of it, the efficacy, there was rushed trials. There have been a lot of lawsuits about this. It's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Because this guy wants to take the moral high ground as the poster boy and one of the spokespeople for oligarchs who control what his institution and the institution he works for, the BBC, publish. And he's trying to criticize a guy who's allowing anybody to say anything on a platform. It doesn't make any sense to me how that's even possible. Like, what kind of headspace this guy is operating from, I can't understand. I can't fathom it. But here we are. It is what it is. This is what we have today. This is a very successful, wildly innovative, wildly impactful man being interrogated over very obvious policy choices he's made on his business. Baffles me.
To change its editorial policy. Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, you thought it wasn't?
That's the first good point he's made. He's right about that, though. I'll say that.
I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. If you want